This year, Art Basel in Miami Beach was a little different, and I want to talk to you about it. Hello, sports fans. I'm Marion Maneker, and this is Artelligence. Let's not get carried away. Art Basel in Miami has always been the art world's holiday party in the sun. It's a good time because it comes at the end of the year for art dealers and their clients, other members of the art world ecosystem, to all get together and have a party at the beach. Some years they come to celebrate, others they come to commiserate. Despite the traffic, it's usually a good time for everyone. But this year was different, and I think Bloomberg's James Tarmy captured it best when he pointed out these three things. Number one, pre-sales are taking a lot longer. Pre-sales are when a gallery sends their better clients and their art advisors a list of the works that will be available at the fair. That's usually called a packing list. It's sent to some clients so they'll have more time to think about a big purchase. And that can take weeks, even months before the fair. But when they arrive at the fair, the collector will commit to the purchase, usually at a price that was negotiated weeks or months in advance. This is what happened at Hauser & Wirth this year when they sold a Philip Guston painting, The Painter at Night, from 1979, for nearly $20 million. You can bet that sale was made before the fair, and the final commitment might have happened the morning of the first day. David Zwirner announced a $9 million Marlene Dumas at the fair too. That was probably the same situation. Jeffrey Deitch told ArtNet's Katja Kazakina that he placed a Barclay Hendricks for about $6.5 million too. All of those sales surely were in the works before the first day of the fair. But what Tarmy is telling us is that the number of those sales is down. And I'm sure he's right about that. Though it's important to remember that we're in the end of a 3 to 4 year sales cycle that usually has sales slowing at the end, and that was expected this year. Point number two, at the fair, impulse buys are happening at lower price points. Collectors used to get a bit more caught up in the excitement of art fairs and be willing to spend a couple of $1 million on a work of art they just saw in the morning. Impulse buys at an art fair don't happen in a snap anymore, and they happen at a much lower level. For example, this is what took place at Eric Firestone Gallery on the first day of the fair. Firestone has been representing the estate of Pat Pasloff, a second-generation abstract expressionist painter who was a student of Willem de Kooning, with prices for first-generation women abstract expressionist painters like Joan Mitchell, Lee Krasner, and Helen Frankenthaler already through the roof. Collectors and museums are searching for second-generation women abstract painters. 2 years ago, we started to see this happen with Lynn Drexler, as her prices broke through the $1 million barrier. Firestone has been guiding the market for Pasloff along the same track. He brought a 12-foot wide painting by Pasloff, Il Fra from 1960, to the fair with a $1.2 million price tag. The first morning, he showed it to folks from Crystal Bridges Museum in Arkansas. They put a hold on the painting until they could get Alice Walton, their patron, to agree to the price. In the meantime, Firestone lined up several other reserves behind Walton. That did two things. It gave Firestone the option to sell to others, but it also put negotiating pressure on Walton to buy the work close to his full asking price. In the art world, everyone expects a discount. So, back to Tarmy's point. This deal was only for about $1 million. These days, that's about the top for impulse buys, and most are taking place at much lower price points. Buyers wandering into a booth are more likely to spend somewhere in the low to mid six figures these days. That's still a lot of money, but not quite what we might have expected when pandemic cash was coursing through the economy. Point number three. Tarmy observes sales are just taking longer to close. Buyers don't feel too much pressure to move, and sellers have less leverage. You hear about the celebrities stalking the art fairs, and there were plenty this year, ranging from Jeff Bezos and his fiancée, to Venus and Serena Williams, Leonardo DiCaprio as usual, to names only the older crowd would recognize, like NFL quarterback Joe Montana and disgraced casino mogul Steve Wynn. But they aren't the buyers who are going to make a gallery's fair. Most booths need to sell a handful of works to make the fair worthwhile. The rest of the value being in Miami is finding new clients who might buy something in the coming months or start new sales conversations with old buyers. That brings us to the real question about the fair this year. Are these changes just a sign of the times, or will they pass? Or does Art Basel having 4 major fairs mean collectors feel less pressure to buy or even to attend any one of the fairs? Dealers complained there were few Europeans in Miami this year, but Art Basel just held a fair in Paris. There also weren't many Asian buyers, but Art Basel will hold a fair in Hong Kong 3 months after Miami. Here's one final observation from me about sales taking longer to close after the fair. There's a lot of talk in the art market about this being a so-called buyer's market. That seems to be more hope than experience. Prices are still pretty high. It will take time for prices to either come down or buyers to adjust to the new price levels. So far, dealers and consignors aren't willing to take just whatever is offered to them. There's a stalemate in the market. It's been going on since this time last year. It's likely to last well into 2024 or beyond. The stalemate will be broken by one of two things. The global economy will get worse and more owners of art will be forced to sell at whatever price they can get. That's a buyer's market, by the way. Or tastes will change and spending will flow into different artists, rebuilding the sense of market momentum. Until then, we hope you will keep watching these videos, like and subscribe so you don't miss any of them, and we'll see you soon.